Okay, so we've got an electric guitar today and it's not even plugged in, but you can hear it because of the wonders of microphones. Lovely, 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 lovely microphones. 2 for the price of 1. Rather, not really, actually, they were both separately expensive. But they, yeah, they're good microphones. Have a look. There you go. What more is there to say? Other than what we're going to do today, which is Origin of Symmetry. We have already done, well, basically the first half, and now we're going to rush through these last 5 tracks. Here we go, Screenager, straight in. Okay, so it starts very surreptitiously, this one. Very different actually to a lot of the tracks on the album. So what we've got here is a collection of sounds that we are not familiar with from the rest of the album. We don't got no guitars, we don't got no drums really even. These are percussion instruments in the main. Well, some of them are percussion instruments, so we can hear dum 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 from probably a thumb piano, a kalimba. So you can hear that as the thumb is pulled off it. It has like a high-pitched sound, and then it goes to a really clear sound. Yeah. As well as that, though, there is some sort of backwards percussion. Some things going, which is a classic sound of a percussion instrument played backwards. In fact, it's probably the kalimba played backwards. So we have some kalimba notes played forwards and some played backwards, and it makes this very interesting mesh of sound. And then through that comes the acoustic guitar. Interesting that today I would choose not to have my acoustic guitar, but pardon me. That's what we've got. Okay. That's our strange riff. Now this first interval is a minor 6th. So we're already sticking our neck out. Now, when you hear that, you could be over here in B flat major. Ba-da! Nice and happy sounding. But that isn't really where we are. We're really based around this D. And then we have C sharp D, C sharp D, which further reinforces the importance of the D as our tonal center. Let's see if it continues. What is also here is some very interesting sounding percussion. I couldn't tell you if it's a specific instrument or whether it's, say, toms pitched up really high, but that doesn't sound right to me. It's probably a specific instrument that I'm not familiar with, that maybe still has some audio processing on it. Yeah, it sounds kind of like bones, like a xylophone. You can get xylophones made out of bone, basically, I think. I can't remember what they're called. Don't know the Greek word for bone. But that's kind of what it reminds me of. I think there's a Tom Waits album that has a similar sound on it. And then, yeah, this chord comes in now. The bass comes in, not on D, but on G, okay? And that gives us a new context for this, which both of those notes fit in G minor. The C sharp doesn't. That's the augmented 4th of this key if we're in G minor. So that's a pretty weird note to hear. Bit of a creepy feel. And then we also have an extension of the chord above, which is this chord. So we get a G, a D, a B flat, a D so far, so standard. But then we also get that F sharp, giving us a minor chord with a major seventh. The first of many James Bondy moments for this band. Now this is not quite the same as, which is the James Bond chord, but it does weirdly have a similar ring to it, doesn't it? I've been trying to work out exactly why that is. Maybe because they're both minor chords with added notes that you wouldn't expect. Yeah, but anyway, that's what we've got. We've got that strange chord, it just rings out, and then everything carries on, the guitar carries on, doing its riff. The percussion coming in both ears is interesting, and there's also a more standard percussion kit now in the centre, or more centred anyway. Yeah, I just spoke over this bit, which is quite fun. Which is a diminished scale landing on our D, which we knew we had. It would be a strange one to choose over this chord. This is a chord with an augmented triad in it. So an augmented triad chord would suggest an augmented scale, or well, augmented arpeggio, depends how you classify it, but instead we get the diminished arpeggio over that chord, which is an unexpected harmony. It's an unexpected one. Doesn't sound particularly out of place. We're already operating in a little bit of a creepy area, and even though this uses the C rather than the C sharp, rather than there, it doesn't feel super out there. It just feels like another slightly strange, ominous, creepy sound. And that's a good bit as well. So, well, this is no longer diminished scale. What's kind of happening there is we get our G minor triad with the fifth on the bottom there. So we go 5, 3, 1, 5. And we're starting each of those notes from a semitone under. So it feels very, it feels like there's a little bit of give and take with the notes in this key. They're not just stuck to a particular set of things, that they can be flatter or they can be sharper. Here in particular they are a semitone flat moving up, so it creates quite a lot of tension. It's interesting though that while the harmony might be creating some tension, the ensemble is pretty sweet, pretty comfortable. Nothing is abrasive. The acoustic guitar is even a nylon acoustic guitar, so it's got very soft sound, and the bass is soft, the drums are soft, so it's not intending to shock or terrify you, maybe only through creepiness as opposed to through like sheer horror. Yeah, and I think that's an interesting bit. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So first we get this augmented fourth dissonance, but then he bends it slightly sharp, but not all the way up to the next note. Same thing comes later down as well. Yeah, so yeah. Something like that. So it's almost like a blues note, especially there. When it's here, it's not quite like the blues note. Yeah. While it might not be very easy to understand that, it does, you know, the experience of it is understanding enough, isn't it? It feels very uncomfortable in a like skin crawly way. Yeah, and then that's some other scales going down, and we get down to the F, and then the F sharp. The F sharp is our sort of leading note, our sharpened leading note in minor. So it feels very drawn towards that G minor chord, but even though the guitar has been giving us some strange harmonies here, the bass and the general ensemble has been stuck around this G minor chord the whole time. So it's just the guitar that is giving us anything extra to that. Let's see what carries on. Okay. Well, guitar, let's start with guitar. Doing a sort of reduced version of the riff with some of those to make sure it gets out of the melody's way, which is pretty good writing. Melody is so funny. So we again have this D going down to C sharp, semitone dissonance there, jumping down to the B flat. Some people will argue that's a weird interval in this because it's almost like it's an augmented second. I, however, go on sound as opposed to theory in these cases, and so because it feels basically the same as a minor third, I think it's a minor third. And then always surrounded. So is the C natural. So we had C sharp there, and then we had the C natural. So we've had a very chromatic bit there. Oh, and after that melody stops, or stops moving, the guitar comes in with some more audible bits, something like that, just to fill in the time before the melody starts again. It's good writing. So let's just hear that again. Yeah. So the G minor chord that we've been holding this whole time finally gives in to stop your screaming. An A major chord, A dominant 7 with a flat 9, and then a D7 chord, and then back to the G minor chord. Well, this is a pretty straightforward common chord sequence, going to the secondary dominant again, then the dominant, and then back down to the first thing. In the minor key, it's a little more abrasive to have that secondary dominant because it's so far away. The G minor with the B flat in it This one still then has the B flat, but it's one of the most clashy notes you could imagine. With that A at the bottom and that B flat at the top. Woo! And then, well, we don't have a flat 9 on this one, although it would be nice. This is just a D7 chord. And then back. So really, really crunchy, but classic harmony is going on here. Also important to note that in the first part, na 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 na, is what we got this time. We get na na na. So we move that third note down 1. Na 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 is pretty close, but instead of like na na going down, we hold on the B flat at the end. The reason for that note change from B flat to A is to fit better with the chord there. And what's really nice is that the C sharp, which was a clash in the G chord, is actually completely within the A chord. So it's almost like we predicted that, or we said it was going to come with the previous thing. The previous thing was like, no, no. Oh, are we too early to the party? No, 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 no. It fits in the second time. Nice stuff. Oh, there's a little bit of extra clinky kalimba still in the mix. Okay. So yeah, it feels like for a couple of chords at the beginning there, everything sort of stops apart from the guitar. Doing an E flat chord. And then an E flat diminished chord. Let's see if it's a diminished 7th, I'm not sure. Yeah, so we go from a nice E flat major. That's quite a change of pace from these, not quite as clashy as that, chords. Then we get, yeah, that E flat. That's out of nowhere. Very comfortable sounding chord. And then the diminished version of it. Ooh. And then that drops to a D7. Now there's only one different note between the E flat diminished 7 and the D7, and that's E flat. E flat changes down a semitone to D here. Okay, interesting. So it really feels like the chord almost stays the same, but there's just that bass note that drops. And what also is important there is that the drums come back in after taking a bit of a well, we've got a bit of hi-hat, but other than that the drums are pretty absent for those two chords. They come back in here, so it feels like those two chords which were suspended in this beautiful vision of the future, which then perverts, brings us back down to earth. Okay, and then we get a nice chord sequence, which is pretty unexpected, but we get that D7, we then get D7 with a C in the bass, third inversion, so the bass is walking bum bum, and it walks down again to B. B's not in our G major key, and this is a G chord with a B. It's a G major. Oh, I said major earlier, I meant to say minor. My subconscious got the better of me, but we've been in G minor, but suddenly we've got this G major chord, and then we get another D7 chord with an A in the bass. So we managed to walk down the bass and and not have a different chord on most of those different things. And the one that we did have different was totally unexpected. What would be more expected if we had D going down to G on C, then a G minor, and then back to the D? That might make more that might be more expected, but that's not what we get. We get the D7, D on C, and then the G major, and then the D7 again with an A in the bass. Yeah, nice unexpected chord sequence there. Through those parts also the guitar was doing much more than it was doing previously. It was doing this kind of probably fingerstyle pattern, which is very baroque. And then we get just one strummed chord for that last bar. Yeah. Well, it's now taking us somewhere else, I think. We seemed pretty dark and dirty before that. Yeah, also that little bit of melody in that bit. Da da da, da da da, da da da. I'm a sucker for those slides, but I can understand if you don't like them. But it certainly adds tension until we finally get to where we're going. Oh, snow. And so when we're holding that E flat with the diminished, which has a C, pause, then we get to the D as we change to the D chord. Fun. Yeah, really makes that a resolution point for that. And also the first bit is just a little bit of a pattern, moving up 2 notes, back 1, up 2 again. Ba da 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 da. You could keep going. Ba da 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 da. And it would be nice too, but they chose something different. Anyway, how are we carrying on? Gosh, what a strange texture this is. There's basically no drums. There's ride cymbal emphasizing each beat, but also playing on the off beats too. And then we've got bass also emphasizing each beat, relatively high bass, about there, just doing every beat in this chromatic figure. We're going from D to D sharp. We had E flat before, it's more of a D sharp here, and then to E. Okay, and the chords, we have that G chord with a D in the bass. A little bit unexpected, but it doesn't feel too uncomfortable. And then a B chord with D sharp in the bass, and then an E minor chord. And the E minor chord is twice as long as the others. Well, we're certainly in a different place. I'm not entirely sure where we are. I mean, it's kind of like E minor, but we wouldn't normally get a G chord in E minor that was unaltered. But we do here. They're relative majors and minors of each other, so they feel quite standard bedfellows. Yeah. And then we have the dominant, the B major chord, leading us to the E. So it's a pretty straightforward pattern, and each chord leads to the next quite nicely by that chromatic movement, and leading back to the G is just a matter of changing the E to a D. So there's no real problem there. But it still packs in quite a lot of unexpected harmony in those 3 chords. There's real motion between the notes, and they feel very drawn to continue the pattern or something like that. Schenker. I think Schenker can be my Beardo from Pat Finity. That would be funny, for me at least. Moving on, we've also now got synthesizers very, very clearly in here doing really pretty arpeggios, just up in the stratosphere, really high pitched and glittery sounding, really distancing themselves from the bass. The bass is lower. At the same time, the bass isn't even that low, so we're missing maybe 3 or 4 octaves off the bottom sound. Yeah, so it feels very airy and spacey. And then there's guitar that comes in, I think, in the second, doing arpeggios too. Yeah, nice stuff, nice stuff. It's all very textural, apart from that melody, which is doing the pattern of the bass to begin with, and then it goes off in the second part. Was so beautiful. Very simple. Just 2 notes there. Sorry, the first one though is F sharp, isn't it? Was so. Yeah, F sharp and G, just moving with the chords, really. Okay, we've got a bit more of the drums. Let me just check that there wasn't more of the drums before. Yeah, no, it's pretty much just the ride cymbal, but then they come in more in here. So it's just building a little. Feels like maybe there's a bit more support from the synths too. Okay, so we had basically the same chords repeated 4 times there. The melody is really the only thing that was changing, other than the drums coming in a little bit more, maybe everything getting a little bit more full. This is a beautiful thing. Certain chord sequences have the same note going through all of them, and this is one. With that G chord, we've got a B. With that B chord, we've got a B, and with the E minor chord, we've got a B. So you can hold that note through all of them. Really beautiful, and it changes context based on those chords. To start with, it's the third. It feels like the brightener, like the most important note of the chord to make it sound happy, or major at least. Suddenly we're on the first of the chord, so it no longer is the one making it bright, it's just holding it resolutely where it is. And then suddenly in the E minor it's no longer really important at all, it's subservient to that E, it's a sympathetic resonance. And so as the thing goes on, it goes from, I guess, a very important signifier to much more of a background role, and switching those switching in your head, I think, leads to a very satisfying experience. So I think more people should do that kind of sequence. Anyway, then it goes just nice flowery line there. I don't think it was that much thought through, but is another thing we've come across so much on this album so far. Link it to the world, for instance. So he really likes that particular bit of melody. And then, yeah, we get this something like that. And we're back with our G minor major 7. So this is very similar to what we had at the beginning with that, but it's over a different harmony. What's the bass doing there? Yeah, so it's playing E here, and then it goes down to D, so that's like a D7, but we're only really getting two of the notes, and then it goes boom, and comes back to the G, and then we're there. We're back where we were. We get the same diminished and the same chromatically altered chord, but we don't quite get the same bit like that. It sounds like he almost chickens out, and we don't get as long then before we go in with the next verse. We just get and then in, which is an interesting thing. We would, I guess, expect more than that, and we don't get it. Sad, but also fine. Like, it's just a shorter gap between verses, so probably a sensible thing. Also adds more variety. So far, is that very similar to the previous verse? Okay. Slightly more impassioned delivery there, I thought. But same as the previous one. And this build-up is the same too. Okay. Ba, dum, dum, ba. Same chords, same melody. This is the same texture too. Maybe the right cymbal is a bit more present, and there seems to be a bit more ring on it. There comes the guitar. There's an extra guitar that is here, I think, but it's not doing much. Okay, I think I screwed the pooch, so to speak, with that. I think that only comes this time, whereas before I think we keep on just on the B. So there's an extra bit of florid melody writing there this time around. Just a little bit, and just enough to make it that much more exciting this time. But overall, that verse and chorus and pre-chorus, I guess, were all pretty much the same as we got before. So that might be something that leads this song to not have as many listens as the others, as well as it just having a much more moody feel and a much less, I don't know, standard set of chords, I guess. You know, starting with this minor major 7 chord, that's already putting us in a quite unusual place. I think it's great. We haven't quite finished, let's keep listening. From the synths, they're quite nice. Sounding very like the ones in Shine Acoustic. Okay, so we do get a slightly different chord there. We've got this one, and then we do get the James Bond one. It's got the minor 3rd, and it's got a 9th, and also a 13th or a 6th. So it's like a minor 6/9 chord. Fun. And then so just before we end, we get that A7 and the D7, and then we're back to our G minor, but we don't have the major 7 at the top. Yeah, it's a bit improvised between these and those, interestingly, and we still got those tinkles of the kalimba going through. I'm not sure exactly where they dropped out in the thing. They didn't feel like they were constant. Maybe they weren't in the chorus, but they were there to accompany us at the end. There they are again. Some backwards, some forwards. A very, yeah, very interesting and quite noisy atmosphere. See, that's the thing with some pianos, they are really quiet, so recording them often comes with a lot of extra noise, whether it be from just the environment or the microphones themselves just being turned up, you know, the gain being so high. It's kind of like what's happening here, because the compression on these microphones is high. We do actually have quite a lot of general noise. I'm also playing them through a USB connected preamp. And I learned recently that USB is very noisy, so that'll be part of the reason for that as well. Anyway, Darkshines is very fun and quite complicated, so let's see how fast we can get through this. It's like a tango, I think. I'm not as familiar with tango as I am with this, but so we've got two very, very different timbres. The guitar is very nasal, and the bass is completely within its own sort of watery grave. You really can't hear much definition on the bass, especially when the guitar's playing, but it's doing some cool things. The guitar is doing a particular melody. And it ends on that augmented fourth, that tritone there, which is fun. Also, it starts low, and each phrase it gets a bit higher. The second one it gets a little bit lower too. Third one it just gets higher, and then fourth one we're up, well, basically 2 octaves higher than we were at the beginning. So that's a real upwards trajectory of that. I guess raising in excitement the whole time. The bass doesn't do anything like that. Does something like this. So a little bit of walking bass, and then some arpeggiation as well. And it's playing very regularly at the beginning of the bar each time. Off. Let's have one more listen to it. It's actually it's got one extra note there. Let's use that last one as evidence. It's that just before the next beat comes in. There's an extra beat there, which is nice. And the drums are also there, and emphasising the backbeats. They sound a little bit more crisp than anything else. So yeah, we've got another texture in there. All these three things sound very, very disconnected from each other, while the drum and bass are very locked in. They're doing a quite tight beat. They don't sound like each other at all, and they aren't really complementary except in rhythmic times, I suppose. So it's interesting there that the drums don't, they just have something to say at the beginning of the bar. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But they don't actually do much after that, leaving some space. And actually everything leaves space there. So we get from the guitar 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we carry on. the bass does similarly, I think. I think the bass might even stop earlier. Yeah, so the bass just goes wop wop. Again, seeming like it's coming through in two different areas, one right in the right ear and one in the middle, with two different sounds. There's maybe a wah on one of them. And it's, yeah, it's just going one and off. One and off. And the only thing that fills that space is the melody. Even the melody takes a bit of a pause. Ba da 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 da. We've got it again. We've got it again. Again in Darkshines. Ba da da da. There we are. Okay. So we had a D sus4 going to a D minor, which is our key overall. We've got a lot of classic chords here. G minor, G sharp diminished, and A7. Those are our main chords. The G sharp diminished is very exciting, but is just a chromatic movement from G to G sharp to A. There's our A chord, our G minor chord, oh, okay. It's actually an F diminished chord because we've got F in the bass. It has the same notes in as a G sharp diminished one, so that one. They've got the same notes, but yeah, it is an F diminished. And then we get, yeah, A7, but it's got the E in the bass, but then comes to A there. Yeah, the melody is very similar to the, well, I don't say very similar, it's somewhat similar to the melody of the guitar at the beginning, going ba da 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 da. So that ba da 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 da. That's what it did at the beginning with the guitar. Ba ba da 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 da. Does the same thing in the same part of the harmonic pattern, so we get the same kind of thing from the melody there, but then na na na, it doesn't end it in the same way, so they're tangentially related. So okay. So this feels much more like the first groove. All the chord sequences, all the chord changes are happening in exactly the same way as they did in the intro and in the first part of the verse here, but now we've got, again, like we have on loads of the songs on this album, a second part of the verse where the melody is going higher. Be mine. I really like that. The fifth slide down, it's just quite strong as a thing to do anyway. Going from like an out there high note to a more comfortable thing, but it's like a consolidation of power. The E comes so early though. We've got this D chord with an E, and we've got the F just above it in the guitar. Both of those at the same time. But then when we get to the A chord, it doesn't need to resolve because it's already there. It's already on the E in the A chord. So it goes from a place of high tension to really relaxing into the chord, which is lovely. And then we also got a bit higher, and your innocence I will consume. That's quite an unusual, let me just check that is as chromatic as I think it is. Yeah, I will consume. Not quite, maybe. Yeah, it's more like that. I always think it's I will consume or I will consume, but it's not really. I will consume, that's just fine, but it's using the sharpened sixth of what's called the melodic minor, and then the sharpened seventh, which is also in the melodic minor, just to make an easier melody to sing than what you might get in a harmonic minor. Those notes aren't in the standard D minor key, so they feel a bit weird, a little bit scary. And this song, well, yeah, so if Screenager is the creepy one hiding in the corner of your room to scare you, this one is the one coming out of your closet in the middle of the night and attacking you. That's a beautiful thing. This rhythm, ba-da-da-da-da, is used in a load of things, but I think it is ba-da-da-da-da. I think it is something from a South American tradition overall. But if anyone knows anything about that, please do let me know. I don't know what that might be. Anyway, that happens, and we also have piano out of nowhere suddenly, and it's doing absolutely discordant noises. There's no rhyme or reason to the notes chosen. Also, there was something in the background going, which reached its peak just before the piano came in. Yeah, it's a guitar, and it's also a high harmonic of something, maybe just a synthesizer. The guitars go proper ghosty sound, and then just going up as well, and then okay. Wow. So suddenly much thicker sound, isn't it? Yeah, what have we got? So what I really like about this is the snare, which fills in the gaps between everything else. So if we go ba da 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 da, we got ba da 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 da. Actually, it doesn't fill in all the gaps, does it? But it does fill in that middle one. Yeah. We've got a sort of simplified, a harmonically simplified version of our sequence. Instead of this G sharp chord, or, well, we established it was an F chord, didn't we? F diminished. We've instead got a B flat chord, which fits with our key just a little bit closer. In fact, entirely as close as it could. All the notes are in the D minor key. So that's really the only change of our sequence, though. We've got D. Okay, the first time we had D sus4. We don't have that here. And then it goes to the A, and then it goes to G minor, and quickly it goes to B flat, and then it goes back to A for the last two bars. That is exactly what we had, but with the B flat replacing the F diminished, and that just cleans it up, maybe makes it a little more poignant and a little less freaky harmonically. The melody is so different though. Da da. Oh, a minor sixth slide down. Darkshines. Oh well, not really a slide. Yeah, excellent stuff. Hi Dom Rocks, yeah, doing well, thank you. Just trying to get through these as fast as we can. So yeah, that slide down, and then Meg. We're all the way up on that A. Super strong, scratchy kind of sound, right at the top of his belting range there. Yeah, really nice. So really what I'm doing is analysing them so that anyone who might want to know what was going on with these songs would be able to, and also just to say that I like these songs, though this one is a bit different to what I've done mostly this week. What did I do? I did Glass Beach's new album, or at least part of it, maybe on Monday, and then another new album. I'm trying to do more new albums because they are the ones getting absolutely missed, and obviously no one is analysing them, because why would you analyse something whose cultural cachet hasn't been shown yet? Well, I tell you, the reason is because the musical cachet is evident from listening to it and from understanding what the music is doing. And so even if these bands get missed by the general culture, I feel it's something that I should do to show what's going on in their music, so that people who are interested in finding unusual music, or music that does something slightly different, will be able to, and also will be able to kind of understand whether that particular thing that the music is doing is for them by these kinds of things. To be honest, I'm not really speedrunning them. That's just for my own sanity. What I'm trying to do is get through these in 2 hours as best I can. I will probably overlap though, because I've spent the first hour just talking about the first two. But we'll see. Okay, let's carry on anyway. Great. Yeah, so that's the end of the chorus, and we've had the same chord sequence in the first part. It's all pretty similar, but everything was turned up to 10 in that chorus, especially compared to the first stuff, which was very quiet. Even when it's the guitar line at the beginning, ba-da-da-da-da, it's commanding your attention and it's very dramatic, but it isn't loud. And then it really brings it down, ba-da-da, in the first verse. So what do we got now? So it feels like we've got things at cross purposes again. Textures are all way off each other. We've got that bass again, which is really deep and watery, underwater kind of sounding bass. We've got piano now, clear piano, doing simple things. It's just doing arpeggios, ba da 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 ba da ba da ba da, straightforward, up and down, really clear, soft sounding, but clear, not crisp like we said the drums were earlier. The drums are here and they're a bit heavier. I think we've got some open hi-hat. Let me just have another listen just to see if that's wrong. Okay, yeah, no, it's right cymbal. So the right cymbal is just giving us a bit more going on, and the snare is being probably hit a bit harder than it was before. It's definitely clearer anyway. What else is going on? Yeah, of course, the melody is suddenly being played through this. Well, is it a trumpet? I'll let you decide. It sort of sounds like something pretending to be a trumpet. Yeah, probably a guitar. Yeah, you're right, you can hear a rake, so I don't know, you could potentially argue that might be a rip on a horn or something, if they can do a similar kind of thing. But yeah, it's probably a guitar through a strange set of filters that makes it sound so abrasive. It's just cutting through everything. Nothing else has any texture that is similar to it. So each of these things is so very audible in their own frequency bands, basically. So this isn't actually using a mode. This is using basically a classic minor thing. We're using harmonic minor, so that basically gives us the use of a C sharp in D major. In D minor. In D minor, we would normally have a C, but instead we've got a C sharp, and that's the main difference there. It gives it much more of a sort of well, much more of a classical feel, really, because that's where you mostly get that that kind of harmony. Okay, so again in the verse here we are cutting a lot of what was going on before, but we're just getting those two bass notes at the beginning of the bar, and then it takes until the third bar here for everything to come back in a bit more. Even the bass though does carry on with its bar parts, I think. It's just the drums that come in a bit more, but the guitar, while it's playing the same kind of thing, it's not actually playing it in the same the timbre is entirely different. Let's try and have a comparison. So there's the original one, and then there's that one. It's actually fairly similar. It just maybe has a little more I want to say nose. It has more sort of high range brightness to it than the first time. The first time maybe it was played on like a neck pickup, and then this time it's on the bridge pickup or something like that. Oh, I'm sorry you hate harmonic minor. There's quite a lot of that coming in here, I'm afraid. Okay, very lugubrious delivery here. There's very lazy. And there's that held against the D minor again, that added ninth, relaxing into the A chord afterwards. Very nice. What's that? That does come the first time. And you're here. Yeah, up a minor seventh, and you're innocent, and back down again. All those big intervals. We've had quite a few. We had that fifth just now, and then we have the Darkshines as well, which is a minor sixth. Large intervals in a melody are generally associated with more dramatic music, and certainly that is what this is. This is incredibly dramatic. There's definitely better words to use, but that's what's coming to mind. We've got that and then the cut, and then those crazy chords. Okay, carry on. So there's another melody in here that wasn't in here before, on a whirly kind of synth. The ones that kind of remind you of theremins or UFOs, you know, because theremins are so ubiquitously used for UFOs. And it's going up the octave here. So it's doing very similar to the melody. Darkshines bringing me down, but just not doing it at the same time. And there it goes. So it has this B flat to C and then to C sharp. Yeah, so on that, I guess on the B flat we've got a B flat, and then no, it's not. It's on the G minor we've got a B flat. On the B flat we've got a C added ninth, and then we get the C sharp when we go to the A. It's just an extra melody. It's almost imperceptible. Really, it's not taking up a lot of space. Really, all the focus is on those well, the stabs of the guitar and the bass, doing that very strong rhythm. The snare drum coming through, and then really most of it on the very aggressively sung melody, which nonetheless, because it's on Matt's tiny vocals, it feels sweet while it's also really as aggressive as he can make it. A double chorus. And this time even more on that top note, so it doesn't just come straight down again. Which, by the way, is again. We really like that particular bit of melody. This one stays bringing me down. All of those, and then it comes down. That slight suspension of the F to the E is really nice too. Yeah, I haven't mentioned it yet either. The bass riff here is quite fun. What's it doing? So we've had something a bit like that on Newborn, like that. So going 4/5 back to the 1, but then we get this whole octave slide, which is really nice and really cleanly played as well. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so previous to this, we've always gone back after that A, back to the D minor chord, and that sets up the same chord sequence every single time. Here we've actually gone straight to the G minor, so this you might call a bridge section. It's an unexpected change. It's one of our most common interrupted cadences, going from A to down to the 4. Other common one is going in a major key up to the 6, but that hasn't happened here, and that would be extremely unusual if it's happening here because we're in a minor key. So going down to the 4 is probably the most common after that. So that's what's happened. It's unexpected, but it's not bad unexpected. Okay. And the other thing is we're back to our strange textures, the aggressive guitar, saxophone, trumpet sound, presumably a guitar. We've got the soft piano, we've got the warp of the bass, and we've got the ride cymbal. Almost, you know, jazz feeling drums, though they're not as improvisatory as you might get in a jazz context. There, yeah, it's really just going so far, going between that G minor back to the D. We've had that 3 times. On the 3rd one, we did get some weird notes from the main guitar, which is our 4 at 11, if you like. G minor at 11, but then it goes up to the sharp 11, and then we finally resolve into the D minor chord. That is our C sharp D. So we have had that in other contexts, but in this context it's kind of, well, unexpected, uncomfortable, because neither of the notes fit with the chord, and it's only when we get to that D chord that it actually resolves again. Okay. And there's our diminished chord again. It's the same as before, it's the F diminished. Whether we can say it's an F or a G sharp diminished here or whatever is not so clear. The guitar melody is just going up that that diminished scale, ending on an A, which is not strictly in that scale, and then that brings us to the A chord, and then presumably we're going to go back to our D, but let's see. Oh, no. We actually go back to our G, and it feels kind of like it's the beginning of a verse again, because everything stops after that second beat, and then the next beat, the next bar is similarly pretty scant. But it's not. It's a new bit of instrumental. Okay, this is actually, well, it's interesting because it feels like a continuation of what we've had before, but there are things that are wrong about it, things that we weren't expecting. And this G minor coming back again, well, we've had the A going to G again, but we're now in a new section with the feel of the verse section, sort of, but it's over a different chord, and we've got no vocals, so strange. Where are we going? Well, that's what we get from the guitar. Which does that have any relation to any bits of melody? Not really. I guess it's kind of like that hide from the scary scenes bit. And the other thing about it, which I've just forgotten, is that it's got a totally different timbre again. This one really is totally different. We were so nasal and aggressive in that previous section, and now it feels clean and really pristine and pure sounding, albeit with a big reverb on it now. Yeah, so different. Okay, we do a similar thing there with the pause from everyone else. The only thing carrying on is the ride cymbal now, so it's not complete stop like we had before. Same thing. It feels even the ride cymbal is getting out of the way a bit. It's a nice bit of yeah, really using the harmonic minor scale there, the C sharp going to the B flat. But we've talked a lot about that already. Okay, there's our diminished chord and our A chord, but the guitar decides it doesn't like the A chord so much, and it ends on the D already. So we get an A chord with a C sharp in it, but we're already at the D in that. Now there is a live version from around the time where he finishes there, but then he goes and finally goes down to the C sharp. That is not the case in this recording. This recording, the D just disappears and up comes this rising noise, and then we're straight in. Now we're straight in there. We didn't have the really clashy piano chords just before it. It just went straight in. But we do have a new melody. Let me just try and work out what that's played on. It feels like piano. It's in the left ear, and I can't quite, like, it could be something else, but it rings like piano to me. It's doing that, which is not our melody that we would normally have in this, which is clearly our chorus section, but the vocals haven't come in yet, so something's got to fill the space. We do still have our whirly woo-doo-doo-doo coming as well, so it's just as thick as we had previously, but we don't have the vocals, we have something else instead. Yeah, so it's really just doing scalic exercises through this. It's not giving us much emotionality or interest for melody wise, but it is filling out the texture a bit. And there's our melody back. Okay, so after this section we would expect to come back to our D. But we haven't got much time left, so let's see if that happens. Wow, I've never noticed the strangeness of the rhythm there. I'm going to have to listen to that again. Whoa! So it's like boom, 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 boom. No, it's not that though, is it? Oh, no, one more time. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. So we have basically the space of 2 bars. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4 D minor, and that's extra. The A minor is coming there. Sorry, A major is coming where we would expect already to have come to the D minor, but we have 2 bars extra of A major there. But the 2 bars rhythmically is actually played as a 7, no. Boom, 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 as a 6, or 3 beats in what we were doing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2 in. So instead of the 8 bars being a 4 and a 4, it's a 3, a 3, and a 2, which is some weird hemiola, I guess. Hemiola being what I understand hemiola as is where you split a bar into an unexpected set of beats, and you only do it at a specific cadential point, like it is here. It's not something that happens constantly through a piece. I might actually be misusing hemiola, because I think that someone has at least tried to show me that it is more about having an irregular beat generally, but I find that a unnecessary distinction to have, because irregular beats come all over the place, but I like the idea of hemiola being a specific thing that only happens either at cadential points or at some particular point where the music is going somewhere else. Yeah, suddenly this last bit as well, we're up really high. We've basically capped out at an A for the melody, but then we jump straight up to the C sharp, and then all the way up to the F, holding the E, that 9/8 suspension to the E, really cutting with the F, making it very emotional sound. And some very ghostly synthesizers to play us out with really distorted guitar. Great stuff. Okay, and now for something completely different. Let's have a look at this first chord before we go any further. Ba-da-ba. Bo-da-da-da. So that's not too complicated. Yeah, so we've got a low D, boom, and then we've got a D7, but then over the top we've got our 13th and our 9th. Yeah, no, maybe not the 9th. Got those, and then so we overall get a nice D13 chord there, in quite a nice voicing as well. That's really interesting, that I have never heard the individual qualities of each of those hits before, but despite being played at a very similar volume, they all have quite a different it feels like quite a trajectory through them, at least on a very subtle level. There's a little more grain to some of them than others. There's a bit of distortion going through this keyboard setting here. So some of them really give you a bit of grit, and it builds towards that first hit. Okay, and this speaks for itself, but yeah, we're in G minor. And we've got the Andalusian cadence again. D, C, B flat, A, or 8, flat 7, flat 6, 5. Hit the road, Jack. It's all the same as that. What was the other one we had this on? Citizen Erased, I think. So we've got the same thing happening here. Even with the cover, it fits in with the rest of them to some degree. Well, let's not say it fits in with them that much, because it definitely doesn't. But it does have that Andalusian cadence, just like that other one. Cool. The melody is nice. Let's just listen. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. So mostly these bass notes are moving again in a similar way to Citizen Erased. The chord stays the same while the note changes. This is only slightly different on that last one, on the D, the second time, because we lose that B flat and then we lose the G to the F sharp, just so that then we can carry on with the same thing. Nice perfect cadence. Now we've got the pattern at the top of the texture and at the bottom of the texture, and it's slightly different because we've got 8 to flat 7 to normal 6 and then to flat 6 this time. And then we carry on 5, 4, flat 3, 2, and then we're back up to 4, 4 sharp 4, 5. Okay, so the main thing there is this descending all the way. You kind of want it to finish on the G, but it doesn't in the end. We go back up, a little bit of an unexpected thing. C, C sharp, D, and then we're ready to start again. So we just have this brief, not appendectomy, well, appendix, I guess. This brief appendix before we go back straight into the beginning of the thing again. The melody is really nice. I'm not going to give them any credit for writing it, but it's really good. Each different version of this has the melody slightly different, but what it is here, birds hang high, you know how I feel, something like that. Down in the sky, you know how I feel. Ooh, bees drifting on by, you know how I feel. What's going on here is that each of those 3 phrases are moving it higher with almost the same material. Da, 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 those notes, the pentatonic scale there, they're very important, but they do slightly different things and they go slightly higher in each iteration of the phrase. Up to that third one. The third one then does the same thing, but it then goes to well, a little bit of the second one, sun in the sky, which we then get being the bit of melody that carries on. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. Not quite, is it? It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. So that ba-da-da, sun in the sky, now becomes da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So we keep repeating the same phrase in different places for that fourth part of the melody. And then we have da 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 da, which is like, you know how I feel, but sort of reversed, da 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 da. And then ba da 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 da, just a little bit of a different thing to finish off. The words really do the heavy lifting there, and I'm feeling good, ending on good on the first note of the key, just so heavy and aggressive. Not aggressive really, I just like saying heavy and aggressive, but it's heavy because it's on that first beat of the note, first one of the key, tonic note. It's not aggressive though, it is just assured. It's like, here is my resting place, I am feeling good. And then all the drums and the bass and everything comes in, don't they? Feeling good. The constant, well, let's not call it constant, we've got the crash happening every bar. So it is just always full of reverberations in that high frequency range. Then we've got the bass, which is distorted to all hell, taking the place for the guitar really, because there's no guitar. But there is this keyboard as well, just keeping on going ba 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 ba. Now with a heavier sound to it, it feels much thicker. Let's just do a comparison. Now, yeah, so it's there, but here it's really, really compressed. So there's a bit of a shimmery thing. I can't tell if it's strings. I don't really think it is. A bit of a shimmery sound right up at the top of the texture. Up there. Oh, and it's slowly fading in and then coming out. Yeah, in each. Okay, and there it's more clearly a strings kind of sound now. So it was following down the bass again, down those notes, and then it sort of tapped out there. So all the way up there. So again, getting that pattern, not just in the bass, but in the high range too. Other than that this is another verse, is there much difference? Well, it's being sung in a much different way. There's so much more being given in the performance. The first verse much softer, and this verse really heavy. Another James Bond illusion there. So yeah, we get the G minor chord with then the E flat, going to the E, going to the E flat, so that's 5, flat 6, 6, back to flat 6, chromatic movement like that, very James Bond, just like James Bond. And at the same time we get this nice thing using the flat 5, so giving us a real bluesy feel. It's originally basically a blues song anyway, maybe more of a jazz standard, but definitely one with a heavy blues connection. So yeah, it feels like that is really coming through here. To be fair, it does also come through in the verses where he goes, you know how I feel, and we get that flat 5 there as well. Yeah. Okay. Very we've backed off from where we were. The keyboard isn't here. The bass is, but it feels like an upright bass actually. We've got a lot more string sound and a lot less guitar, like electric sound. And it's boom, boom, boom. It's still doing the same pattern, but yeah, in a upright bass kind of sound. The drums, we've really just got hi-hat, kick drum and snare. It's all being played pretty softly. Nothing show off like we had in the previous section. I didn't mention it, but we definitely did have some more you know, fills and exciting things from the drums, as well as those crashes. None of that here, but the keyboard is about to come back in. Before we talk about that, we do need to talk about this melody now. We've given up on most of the notes. We've still got "You Know What I Mean," but the "Dragonflies all over the sun" is just pretty much on D with a little bit of chromatic interest on some of the notes, and then it's through this kind of megaphone sound. Why? I guess it's an interesting texture. So we do have the keyboard back in there, or it might be more like a vibraphone maybe, but it's quite low in the mix, and it's just giving us extra notes. It's not really playing to be heard very clearly. The pattern does actually change here. The bass, we're not doing these ones anymore. We go to the B flat. That's the first time for that. Well, I guess we had it as part of da, 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 but now it's just there at the beginning of the third set of 4 bars. And we go, yeah, B flat, G, E flat to C, so we're going down in thirds, which I guess is, you could see it as an augmentation of the main thing, which is going down in seconds. Now we're going down in thirds. Oh. Yeah, it's an interesting change anyway, and the melody accompanies that by changing and having. Oh, we're up in the falsetto range again, up on the D. Yeah, same kind of pattern as down there, so it is pretty similar. And this whole world is only a world. We haven't quite got there yet, have we? But I said that's the same notes as well. So we're really rooted in those, even if at the beginning of this section we just took the D. Now we've got all of our classic notes of the scale back. This minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic. Yeah. So we go back to the B, and then the G, and then the E. But then instead of going to the C this time, we go to the D, the dominant, and then we're ready to go back to our previous thing. And the drums are building up. And there's a sudden change with the vocals. They've been going through the and then for me we suddenly change to very clear vocals just before the drop of that bar line. For and then we're back to what we had for the second verse. We've got that high strings line again. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, and that freedom, one of the highest belts he does up on that B flat, really nice. But before we talk about that, yeah, the drums are really going from crash on the first beat to snare on the second beat of each of these bars. So going from one loud sound to another, always on the beat until we get to the end of a 4-bar loop, or here it takes 8 bars, and then we have a through all those toms to take us. But well, really those things don't take us to a new section. Often fills are really just to bring back the section that we were in, but feeling a bit more fresh. And again, we've got the high and the low moving together. Okay, here it starts to feel real jazz. Pause. Drum fill. One of the craziest drum fills that these guys have. It's really good. I really wish they did more like that. I think we have a strange number of beats as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, no, we don't. But the 1, 2, 3 is full of fill, and then ba da 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 comes on the 4th. So we were basically on a sort of, yeah, I guess a G minor chord on a C in the bass, which is not in a G minor chord, so it's a bit of a strange place to leave it. And then we get ba da ba down to an A chord, and then down to an F chord. So again, we're going down by thirds. Let's see if that continues. The drum's just absolutely ripping it up. Okay, yeah, that's an E flat chord. So not down by a third that time. And then, where's this? This is of course our dominant sound. It's so clearly dominant, and we're playing it just like we did in all the others. Ba da 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 da. All the other times, yeah. So we're really hammering home that dominant relationship to the key. So even though this A chord came out of nowhere, we've not had one of those before, and this F chord came out of nowhere. Well, okay, we have had this E flat chord before in the quieter section. All to say, that is leading us, I guess, back into our dominant place by way of something more comfortable, or more closely connected to the F, maybe. I don't know, you could probably have gone straight from the F to the D, but it fills out the time quite nicely. Gives us 4 strange chords. So maybe that's necessary. Anyway, then yeah, we hold this for basically what, 3 bars? Da 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 ba da da ba da da ba da 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 da. Oh, yeah. Okay. And then we're back with a mixture of sections, but it doesn't even really feel like the beginning now I think about it, because the keyboard is softer and doing more arpeggiated stuff, less of a da 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 chord playing, more arpeggiated, and then the bass is not an upright. It sounds electric, but it's very soft. We've got some ride cymbal back again, and we're just riding the jazz wave all the way out. We're up on a D, I think. Yeah. And these are just as lugubrious or as relaxed as possible, these ad-libs. Although that's our favourite thing back again. Up to an F, a little bit flat, but really, really cute. Really cute sound altogether with this falsetto. It's back to our original. Yeah, and just a little more snare just there. Bat, da, bat, da, da. And then that's that. Cool. Lovely, nice chord at the end. No keyboard in that last chord. Actually, it's just the bass. We've maybe got a China cymbal? Maybe it's just the ride bell, actually. Yeah, I think it's just the right bell. Oh, come on now. Can't be that long at the end. Yeah, I think it's just the right symbol. And then, yeah, and it goes out, doesn't it? Yeah, that's more of a trad song. And that means, I guess, that we don't have a bridge, really, although they make a bridge, really. They make the third verse into a bridge to some degree. Yeah. Well, it's good, and they give it a certain amount of signifiers of the rest of the album as well, which is a really good thing to do with something that isn't yours, to fit it onto your album. Very cool. Okay, now the original end of the album. Oh, B minor. Do I mean B minor? No, I mean E minor. This is another chord sequence cribbed, I believe, from the same piece of Rachmaninoff as Space Dementia, so that gives it a connection. Yeah, so what do we have? Just a lot of E minor to begin with, maybe with some F sharps in there, and then yeah, we get the F sharp 7. So again, it's like that E minor to F sharp is very like what we had in Screenager, going from G minor to A7. It's the supertonic major, and then we go to A minor though, the minor subdominant. That's what we would expect in an E minor key though, but it was not what we'd expect after the supertonic major, which has a C sharp in and an A sharp in. They both drop to C and A by semitone. A very painful move there. And then we go up to B7 here. Okay, and you know, the easy mod for writing music would just repeat those 4 chords, but instead here we go on a different journey. Yeah, so we get back to the E minor, then we get a C, which we weren't expecting, but it's in our key. Okay, fair enough, nice. Then a G with a B in the bass. Oh, also weren't expecting it. We're basically in G major now. A minor. That we've had that before. That's fine. No problems there. E minor with a G in the bass. Okay, well we've not had it before, but it sounds pretty familiar. But surely we're going somewhere with this. Yes, we're going to E major with a G sharp in the bass. Ooh, unexpected, but that must be leading. Yes, you're right, to A minor, and then A minor straight to the B major, bringing us back to the E minor. So that whole sequence with loads of E minor establishment at the beginning. We then get the F sharp major, going to the A minor, going to the B7, back to the E minor, lovely, and then to C, and to G on B, A minor, which is more common than E almost here, E minor, E major with the G sharp, A minor, and B and E. So, I mean, I can understand why you would steal it from Rachmaninoff, because it is an amazing journey. A really nice set of chords. They bring us all through loads of different colours. Yeah, music's so good, isn't it? Texturally here we've got a kind of interesting mix of strings and bass, but also synthesizer, and everything's through some kind of chorusing and filter, so it sounds very it sounds very synthesized. And then the only thing that maybe gets away with not being, there's whoop sounds, which definitely are, but the voice is much cleaner than the rest of the ensemble. That's the only thing that sounds like it's not been processed to hell. Okay. Holding the chord, but then as that holds comes in the other things, the bass and the drums mainly. Now the drums have an unusual sound to them. It feels like more orchestral percussion than you would expect. Feels like there's an anvil in there. That kind of sound that comes there. It might not be, but it's definitely not a part of a normal kit. And we've got timpani going bum, 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 bum. I think we've also got a little bit of normal drum kit in there. It feels like there's some side stick going on. But there's no cymbals or anything like that, so we're really murky low down in the texture here. There's just a few things like that anvil sticking out in the higher range. And yeah, now we get the verse. Yeah. Yes, I'll tell you, we were built to make lovely music, so we're still in a harmonic minor scale. Basically comes at a price. Another potentially off-putting slide there. I think that one worse than the ones in Darkshines just because it's at a lower pitch. It feels like the character he's playing here is a bit annoying, so then he's singing in an annoying way. Well, if that is appropriate, which it is, fine, but it doesn't necessarily make it nice to listen to. But maybe that's not the point. That I am not prepared to pay. So that melody was only occupying a small range, just these 4 notes, less than a fourth apart. Then we get a little bit further. Could someone tell me please? Just up to the B there. So we've gone, what, on minor 6th? That's not far. Very, very small melody, low, quite low in his range as well. Very different, feeling good. Yeah, and that paradise and the good news is... So we have a kind of fake B major chord there before we get back to the E minor. That goes with the bass, or the timps, which are going boom, boom, ba-dum, dum, dum. So the good news is, when it goes to the D sharp there, it's almost like we've got a D minor, but the overarching feel of the section here is of an E minor chord. So that D sharp that's coming, acting as if we're in a B minor chord, really just feels clashy against that chord. So the melody kind of gets away with not using too many notes because there's so much going on in the harmony. So if we that note in the E minor chord, so each time we come to the F sharp there, in the F sharp chord it's there. In the A minor chord it's not, it's an added 6th, and then it's there again in the B. So in a similar kind of way to Screenager, with a similar feel to Screenager, as we're going through each of these chords, keeping on the same notes, those notes take on a different value as the chords go by. So it's really nice, even at a small level of variation. And I spoiled the surprise there by pausing just before, but there's a big change. Big change. Let's hear it. So we've got this dark down, low texture that suddenly goes big. Normal drums in, they feel dwarfed entirely. But and to be fair, I have to say that I don't think this is mixed as well as it could be. And I haven't listened to... Oh, I think I have listened to the Redux version for the 20th anniversary. Essentially a remix of each of these songs. But anyway, on this version it feels like this full organ, and I know it's a full organ because it was recorded on one that's near where I used to live, which is massive organ. Sounds big, but definitely could sound bigger. And similarly, because that is so big, it makes the normal drum sound a little bit infantile. At the same time, it still sounds pretty big. Yeah, and we've got those tertiary shift. Where is it? It's a sudden D chord in the E minor. I guess we do have D major, but we've not had it in our whole sequence, and we don't have it in harmonic minor really. D going to B major. So the D going to a D sharp in that B chord. Really nice. Sudden change of texture, and we've also got wow sounds happening as well, just to make things sound even more like future-y. It's better. So everything is different about this track now. So yeah, we had that, and then we had C, A minor, D, G on B, G augmented with a G in the bass, and then back to the C. So the C here feels like it's leading us back to G. C. I'm not sure why we're in G major now, but it seems like we are. I guess it's the relative major of E minor, so it's not too far off. There's our dominant chord. It feels so much like that wants to go to G, but we don't go to a normal full G. We go to a G on a B, so that's kind of saying we're actually going somewhere else. And then we get down to the G in the bass, but we've got a G augmented, which clearly is not where we're meant to lie. And then we come back to the C, and this time the C feels like our home. Well, that's so surprising, because when we started, nice held seventh in the melody there as well. Again, the melody keeping the same note while the chords change around it, and then in that D chord, the seventh being held and adding that dissonance. It's quite a fun dissonance though, the seventh dissonance like that. And then half your disguise. There's that chromatic line again. We've had that in previous tracks too. Nice. Okay. Yeah, the drums again are really just emphasising the beats. There's a little bit extra, but they're mainly just going on those beats. Sorry, I am very snotty this evening for some reason. Maybe it's just sweat. Nose sweat, lovely. Yeah, and then that time. Ooh, no, what is that? Ah, I'm gonna have to listen again. So we've got C in there, and we've got B in there. Is it that? that sounds a bit gross. No, yeah, so the melody does go up to an F sharp, but this is basically still a C chord with a B in the bass, and an F sharp there, so it's really got a lot going on, that chord. And then is our A minor, again with the added sixth, like we got accept gifts from me. It's the same here. And then it's me, back to the B chord. So again, a really cool sequence. Basically nothing there is very expected. Some of the movements are classic, so the C, A minor, D definitely happens a lot. But really, it keeps going somewhere new, and then when we come back to the B, okay, we might know where we're going next, which is probably back to the E minor. Lovely, perfect cadence. But yeah, we've definitely had something really surprising and exciting in that previous section. And you know, as well as the texture totally changing, the melody is up a good octave from where it was before. Another slide, and then as we get to that B, we just stick on it, and it fits in the nice E minor afterwards. Now, this section, very similar to the first section, but there's definitely a difference in the texture. Yeah, and the main thing there is that we've not got the very chorusy string sound now, the boxed in chorus string sound. What we've instead got is the organ. The organ has stuck around here. It's not playing us big chords like in the previous section, but it's playing arpeggios. Starting on the offbeat after the first beat, doing that kind of thing. It's a welcome change. Really fills the classical niche in this section. We do also have a little bit of counterpoint from what I think is probably a clarinet. And that again feels like Screenager. Feels like we have Screenager for one part of this, and then feeling good for the other part. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense. The other part is really its own thing, but our main like verse section here definitely does feel akin to Screenager, with these da 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 chromatic. Yeah, that clarinet is still there here, but it's nice to hear the bass and the timps back, and the anvil, if it is an anvil. That, yeah. So the clarinet is really crazy, actually. It's giving a lot. It's giving a really interesting melody that goes along with the main melody, and they're doing different things at the same time, almost in the same rhythm as well. So if the main vocal melody wasn't there, you would still have a really cool melody in the left ear to hear. Okay, and again, we're not taking the easy road songwriting here. It would be so easy just to repeat that sequence again one last time, but we don't do it. What would tell me please. Let's just hear it one more time, just in case I'm getting that wrong. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's even weirder. So we get the E minor, what, up, a jump up the octave almost, what, it's a slide up again from like a major seventh, what, maybe a little bit of a flat major seventh. But so it goes from E minor to an E major with a G in the bass, and then we hold that E as we go to a C major chord with a G in the bass, and then build, so that G sharp comes in a bit early, build, and slides up from almost a G to a G sharp as we go back to the E major with the G sharp, and then we finish A minor, B, 7, E. But that's kind of weird because we had a whole 8 chord sequence before. C, G, E minor, C, G, what was it again? Yeah, A minor, E minor on G, E major on G sharp, A. So we've actually just skipped out 2 chords there and come up early over the same words. The previous section, what? Well, okay, no, it's not quite the same words, is it? What were they built for? Could someone tell me, please? It is the same words. I'm totally wrong. And then this time, what were they built for? Could someone tell me, please? So it just goes through could someone tell me please a lot faster. We have the please slide down the 5th again like we had in Darkshines. So there's a load of melodic similarities between these songs. And then we're there. And then we obviously need to have a transition again. There's that D, and I really like that ba-dum, da-dum, ga-dum. I like that rhythm. So what's it? Yeah, so the main thing about it is we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and. So it comes in on the 1, on the and after 1, which gives it a really syncopated feel. Okay, and this is very similar to what we had before, but we've got an extra melody. We've got that take still, but now we've got take. A little bit more of a show off to the other one, which was really just keeping the same note held for ages. Yeah. Really love it. Your disguise. Oh jeez. That will have to do for tonight. I can't give you the full. To be honest, my voice has changed a lot since I used to sing these. But yeah, all the way up to that top G. We haven't been that high since Microcuts. It's the same as we've had before. The other part is exactly the same, but now we've got this counter melody. Just a little bit of chromaticism there, and we're getting on that B, holding the B. Build, build. Oh, and now instead of going back to the E, this B is going to F sharp major. Ah, wow, that is an unexpected chord. After this truly aggressive dominant bashing, to then go, well, to the dominant of that dominant. That's very unexpected. Wow, lovely. Yeah, the drums, ba, da, ba, 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 ba. Just giving that third beat something to differentiate it from the first beat, I guess. But it's a really fun little semiquaver figure as well. And there's so both voices are now holding notes. Ah is one of them, and the other's ah, and that ah, it's an A sharp. So they're a third apart, and then it just changes down to the A as we hit the D chord. So this is another tertiary shift between the F sharp chord and the D chord. We've got a C sharp in this one, a D in this one. We've got F sharp in this one, and an F sharp in this one. And most importantly, we've got an A sharp in this one, and an A in this one. So they can't exist in the same key, and it really feels like a shift of world. It feels like we've got one world and another world, and we're whoa going between the two. And what's helping that is this crazy fairground ride chromatic melody up on the top of the organ. Okay, so now we've got that one, and we've also got up on the C sharp. Well, we know where the C sharp should resolve. It should go up to the D. It's really lovely to hear that F sharp just held between these two chords, though. It's really rooting us down here. And it goes up to that D, and then they're both on F sharps, an octave apart, and then it goes down to the C sharp and up to the... And then this, which feels... Oh, we had distorted bass in that. I don't know if you knew. It's giving us loads down there. And yeah, some timps, huge organ, just to finish off one big chord. And just before that we had some very fast arpeggios as well. Lovely. Well, now I'm on 2 hours 3, but I think I can do Futurism fast. Just all on the ride bell, isn't it? The Futurism sometimes sounds absolutely terrible, the mix of it. Let's see how this one sounds. Ah, it's pretty clean. This is such a good riff. So, what are we tuning down to here? It goes really low. I guess it's a bass riff. Is it just bass? But so that da 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 on the ride, we have had that in Screenager, but it had a very, very different feel. All right, let's just play it up an octave. Yeah, so we've got these octaves which keep happening, sort of harking towards our supermassive black hole. And it's a G to start with, G minor, but we've got that C sharp D stuff again. There's our D, there's a C sharp, C now, which is a classic place to repeat a riff, on the 4th, but we do a slightly different thing there. What's that? G, A, B flat, A, G. Just a little bit of melody, B flat, and D, and then we're back to the beginning. So both halves of the riff have the same rhythm. I guess that's slightly different. But they both occur in exactly the same place, the deviations from the octaves. And the octaves are 2 low, 1 high, and then 1 low again. And that's what happens. We've also got a spooky synthesizer up at the top again. Here the bass drums come in. Kick, 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 kick. Okay, and then as the guitar comes in here, the drums are changing to so they're no longer playing that ride cymbal really high in the mix. So I don't know how to play this, but it's nice. So there's that B flat, A and G. We have that in that bit of the bass thing. So we've already heard that. And then up to the C sharp. Does it actually do C sharp just before as well? No, yeah, it's D just before. And is it a unison bend? It actually is a unison bend, isn't it? That's very interesting. If it isn't, it's through a chorus that makes it sound like it is. Yeah, no, I think it is. And then we get squawk. God knows how he makes that. Some people say play behind the nut of the guitar, but that's going to be different for every guitar. Yeah, strange noise. Strange noise is a Muse thing anyway. And then we repeat that riff down here. Yeah, so then we're E flat, D, C, low G, and then up. Yeah, up to an E flat. Do we bend up from that E flat? Yeah. It's definitely not that, but yeah, those bends do sound weird, and I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. Maybe it's two guitars, maybe it's two tracks doing almost the same thing, but they're layered over each other in one ear. That would be an interesting thing to do. And then this last bar, I guess it's picked scrapes going, but it sounds so strange through the filters and the distortion that I really couldn't tell you what's going on there. And then we get a repeat. So these two riffs together, it's really the best thing until Hysteria, which does a very similar thing, I would say. They're such good riffs. They sound really good. Yeah, and they're fast and they're very exciting, and they are quite sort of harmonically weird at times, so that's really nice. Yeah, that E flat there is in key, but it's then bent slightly sharp, which is lovely. Okay. So we've got the same bass riff going on, the drums are doing the same kind of thing here. The guitar is more muted strums, not really doing anything to of note. We've still got that spooky synthesizer up at the top, and now the vocals are in, and they are through, yeah, again, a strange filter. I can't tell you what is exactly going on with the filter, but it doesn't feel like we have much bass end. It feels like things are happening, yeah, in the sort of mid to high range. And it means that even when we hold notes, it doesn't just go it goes wah, and it really changes. So I really like how the melody is much more, it moves slower, and it has much more, I guess, harmonic ambiguity. It feels like we have about 5 notes between that that tone change there, na, 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 something like that, as we get up to the D. So it's slow moving, and it's much more relaxed in its delivery than the bass, which is just driving. Yeah, God, this kills me, this sequence. It's one that we've got before on this album. It's the same as in Megalomania just before it. Minor main chord, supertonic major, subdominant minor. But then, oh gosh, instead of going to the dominant, we instead beautifully go to the tonic, but it's now a major tonic, and we're in first inversion with a B in the bass, G major with a B in the bass. That is so beautiful. G minor, A7, C minor with a little bit of the 7th up at the top there, and then G major with a bit of a 9th added to it. I think that is really, really great. Especially, you know, it's really loud. There's so much space for the chords. They really just go 1, 2, 3, stop, and 1, 2, 3, stop for those first 2 bars again. Like we did, which one did we do that in? Darkshines. Same kind of thing happening here. We have, yeah, a really active beginning of the bar, and then it stops, and so we get the same thing. And then in the 3rd bar, just like in Darkshines 2, we continue the thing. Some people see repetition of things like this as a bad thing. I think when they are interesting like this, it's really just to some degree, like writing an essay about a particular good thing in a piece of work. It's going, look how many times this happens, and each time it's great. So yeah, I really like it. Also, yeah, the melody here, gosh. Sorry about all these sneezes. I've been basically fine hay fever wise most of the day, but I have been out playing in the field, so that's my own fault. It's maybe telling me I need to go to bed. Just like Screenager again, we get the melody being the F sharp in this G minor chord. Jeez, I need an editor. Drowning. Then we get the same melody line, but it's over the A chord. So it takes on a totally different feel. Oh, Jesus. God, oh God. Stop sneezing. You're okay. And then, instead of repeating the same thing on the C minor chord, which would be maybe a bit of overkill, I thought I was done. Never mind. We get this da da da, which is really moving up the same thing. Da 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 da. We're just doing it there. And then as we get to the G major chord, we invert it. Da da. Yeah, really great stuff. So that's the that we ended before with, but also the one that we started here with. This is fucking ridiculous. No one's gonna watch this. I am stuck. I can hear you. It's that, but it's all the way up to that E flat. We do the same thing up there instead. Fucking hell, right. I'm just going to play the song now, because I've basically talked about everything that's going on anyway. It's a simple song. We're back to the first two riffs. Great, lovely. Good, drums are doing the same, bass is doing the same. Jesus. And this is very similar to the first verse. Maybe more active guitar overall, but it's still just doing muted things most of the time. And then there's actually a very big textural difference there, mainly from the vocals, but also the guitar and the drums. No, sorry, and the bass really change. Even the synth changes. Oh, actually, that G chord is actually a major chord. I heard the in the left ear the synthesizer gave us a B there, so it's not actually drumming, but it's drumming. At least that time. I don't think it's there every time, and we can assume G minor because mostly this is in G minor. Big Phil. I love that. So this is like taking the I am still with you, but now we're doing that as the main part of the melody. So like for a second part of the chorus, all the way up to an E, which then sadly falls to this E flat in the C minor chord. And that's pretty similar. And it's just so nice, the difference between the like just absolutely dying on those A's, and then sweetly the top notes come through. All the way up to the G. Lovely stuff. And here it's similar to what we had before, but the guitar is just giving us some different melody. It's really nice, slow bends of those minor seconds. Same thing, just up a tone there for the G chord and the A chord. There it is clearly a major chord because we're getting the third in the guitar there. But it does bend it from minor to major, and it does the same with the A chord. We're still getting the stop-start on the first two. Stop! Da-da-da-da-da. Stop! And then we just had that, instead of down there, it's up there, all the way up an octave. Yeah. One last time, maybe? Yeah, the guitar just goes a bit all over the place just for that last time, and a little bit of a row leading us down, and we end on the G on B chord, and it's so crazy that we can hear a little bit of the F sharp coming through in the harmonics from the distorted bass there. Let's just hear that ending again. Ooh, can you hear that? Yeah, and the guitar just fades away. Oh, cool stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, well, what to say? This album has a load of tricks that it uses almost all the way through. We have a load of minor key songs. In fact, the major key songs that are on this album, Bliss has a bit of major. I guess Plug-in Baby, you could argue, has bits of major. Sisters and Erased has an ending that's major. and Screenager's chorus is major, and Futurism seems to have more major in it than I expected, and Megalomania has again a chorus that's major. Other than that, they're so categorically minor. Most everything about them is rooted in minor, as at least at standard, if not as constant. And then, as well as having that minor as a through line through the album, which is a very basic through line. Like, if you didn't have that, no one would really care. But it allows a framework of a very specific kind of chromatic movement, especially the harmonic minor, but also things like that supertonic major, which kept coming up, and you know, relations to the tritone, the sharp fourth, that has very different meaning in major than in minor, and here it has a consistent feeling in the minor through several different songs here. Yeah, I guess there's some other harmonic things going on that link a few different songs. But that melody line, the which comes up in a surprising amount of the songs. It didn't come up in Futurism there. You can argue that that's a bad thing, and that shows the lack of invention in the melody, and to some degree that I agree, but it's interesting that I have never noticed that until actually looking at it now. Yeah, so I don't think that the way they're used, the way that is used, can be considered repetitive across different tracks, because even though it's there, it's not really actually noticeable as the same thing unless you look really closely. And that's for, you know, someone like me who looks at music really regularly. So, and I, you know, genuinely, when I listen to music, I have an analytical thing going on, even if I'm just trying to enjoy it. And I do enjoy that, trust me. But anyway, the point is, those melody lines, though they are kind of similar, they have enough variation in them for you not to notice the similarity unless you look too closely. Yeah, we have some other things. We have that stop-start rhythm, which was in some of those later songs. The crash being on lots of big beats, more so than almost any other band I can think of. Slinky bass lines, loads of really cool bass lines, loads of good riffs, key changes, chromatic movement, loud sections and soft sections in the same songs. Overall, while, you know, there's some connection to progressive rock going through, almost none of these songs feel like they're going far from home, with the exceptions of, I think, Space Dementia and Citizen Erased, and arguably Microcuts, just because the ending is totally different to the beginning, but that's a really short song. I don't think that quite is doing the same thing. So yeah, it feels like to some degree a you know, an album sitting between clever pop music and also kind of expansive, quasi-experimental, classically influenced music, which is a rare thing. I guess you can say there are a few bands, Radiohead, who do a similar vein. They definitely take that similar through road between the two concepts, but they take a totally different approach to them, and so yeah, I think this is well worth a look. Well, loads of fun stuff going on there, and I hope I've shown you that in this quite long video that I should stop now. See you soon, bye.